Welcome to the Daily Tanya. Today is Tuesday, the 16th day of Menachem, and we continue letter 5 in Ageret Hakodesh. Let's begin with Tzedakah, Gedola Tzedakah, Shemekarev Segeula. Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. So, in this letter, the Alter Rebbe talks about making God's name. Making God's name through giving tzedakah. It's a long letter that, to come to the explanation, we'll have to go to the end. But we began explaining what it says, Ki beyudke Hashem tzuv olamim, that Hashem created the worlds with the letters Yud and the letter Hey. As we mentioned, we have the four-letter name of Hashem, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. So it says that the world to come is created with the letter Yud, and this world is created with the letter Hey. And we explained yesterday what the letter Yud represents the Chachma. How is a Yud written? It's a dot. It's a dot that is beyond description, is beyond comprehension. And the world to come is the world of Bina, which is the world of understanding, processing the idea. So processing the idea of God, the godliness, the godly energy to process, it is in the world to come, you're able to process it. And at the same time, we explained that also in this world, it says, Hashem b'chachma yosad eretz, God created this earth with chachma. And as it says in the Zohar, Abba yosad brata, the father begets the daughter, which means that in the form of this world, which refers to malchus, refers to speech, there also we see the revelation of the essence of the Chachma, which means what we explained, that in speech you can see the way we speak. The way we speak, it is not something that we do a conscious effort to move the lips, but it moves automatically with the subconscious. When I want to say the letter Aleph, Bet, I want to bring out words, it comes because it is connected with the very essence of the Chachma before. It's not a matter of processing, and it's not a natural thing. It is something that is beyond the processing. It's something that subconsciously, that the soul is expressed directly into the words. And the same thing it says, that this world is also directly affected by Chachma. So the question is then, why is it that when we say that the world is created with the letter Yud and the letter Hey, after all, this world is also affected by the letter Yud, which represents the Chachma. And Alter Rebbe explains that just like in speech there is the matter of the speech, there is the body of the speech, and there is the soul of the speech. Everything that exists has a body and a soul, or matter and form. So in speech, for example, you have the soul of the speech, which is the message that comes through the speech. And you have the external part of the speech, which is the actual movement of the lips, the movements and the verbalizing the words. This is the matter of the speech, the body of the speech, the external side of the speech. So the Alter Rebbe explains that the world to come is created with the Yud, which represents the expression of the soul, the inner part of godliness. And this world is expressed, the root is the letter Hey, because this is the external part of the godly energy. Let's see how the Alter Rebbe explains it inside. However, the letters exist on planes of matter and form. It's a matter of speech, as they say, or there's a form of speech, which are also referred to as their internal aspect, meaning the form, which is the soul, and their external aspect, meaning the matter, which is the body. Although their source is the primordial stage of the intellect and the will of the soul, for as soon as the soul desires to speak, these letters are formed, as explained above. So we see that what affects the actual uttering of the words, it's not something that you consciously do. It is rooted deeply in the subconscious, in the primordial stage of the intellect. However, says the Alter Rebbe, this is but the form of the differentiation in the pronunciation of the 22 letters. But the matter and the body of their formation, however, meaning the aspect of their externality, is the breath issuing from the heart. And the breath, which is represented in the letter Hey, as he will soon say, this is the root of all the body of the letters, the matter of the letters. From this breath is formed a simple sound which proceeds from the throat. And which is then divided into the 22 kinds of enunciation and expression of the 22 letters. And these divisions taking place through the 5 known organs of speech. For example, Aleph, Ches, Hey, Ayin, Me'agorim. The letters Aleph, Ches, Hey, and Ayin through the throat. Gimel, Yud, Kaf, Chaf, Kuf, Me'achech, V'chule. Gimel, Yud, Chaf, and Kuf through the palate, and so on. Like the Bet, Vav, Mem, and Pei from the lips, and so on. So you have the breath, and the breath hits one of the 5 palates, and that's how they're able to develop the different letters. While the breath itself, which has its own sound independent of the letters being spoken, this is uttered by the letter Hey, the light letter, inasmuch as it lacks the substance of a complete letter. Which is the source of the matter and the body of the letters before the division into 22. So the Hey is thus the source of each letter's body. That is why, says the Alter Rebbe, this is the metaphor for the world, that this world was created with the letter Hey. That is why our sages of blessed memory said that this world was created by the Hey. It was created by the external aspect or body of the supernal letters. The source is in the Hey of the divine name. Now, as you know, when we're talking about the divine name, there is the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. The Yud represents the Chachma, the beginning. The Hey is the expansion of the Chachma, which is the Bina, the understanding. And the Vav represents Just like the letter Vav is a tat and a line going down, it represents bringing down to the 6 emotive attributes, and the last Hey is the Malchus, the kingship, the one that is, which is also referred to as speech, because just like speech is also something that gives to the outside, and the same thing Malchus. And so basically, the last Hey would be what we refer to as the source of this physical world. Olam Hazeh, when we're saying the Hey, is talking about the last Hey. However, in the verse that we quoted earlier, what we say, Be'ka Hashem Tzurei Lamim, with the letter Yud Hey, Hashem created 2 worlds. There it sounds like the Yud and the first Hey, those are the sources of the 2 worlds. The Yud is the source of the next world, the world to come, the spiritual world, and the Hey, the first Hey, is the source of this world. So how can we say here that the last Hey is the source of this world, not the first Hey? That's the Alter Rebbe is asking now. Now, though this letter, this is the lower Hey, the latter Hey of the 4-letter name of God, while our sages of blessed memory expounded this, that the world to come was created by the letter Yud, and this world by the letter Hey, from the reading of the verse, for by Yud K God created the world, which means that it was created with the first Hey. So which one is it? And the Alter Rebbe goes to explain that the last Hey is rooted in the first Hey. So basically, this is because its source and the beginning of its progress into a state of manifestation from the obscurity of the Yud is influenced and drawn forth from the level of the upper Hey. So the way it goes, it reveals Yud is something that cannot be revealed, it's Chachma. Then you have the process of the Hey, the first Hey, which is revealing the idea, because the first Hey, sheyesh lo ispashtos v'roichav, the form of shape of the letter Hey, has dimensions of length and width, which represents the concept of processing the idea. This is to indicate the faculty of Bina, or the upper Hey of the divine name denotes the level of Bina, the understanding, the processing. Shehi Spashtus HaSeichel HaNelam, Mebchinas Gilui, Ve'asoge Ve'achovas Hadas, which is the expansion of the concealed intellect into the state of manifestation and apprehension, extending into the Das. Now that its diffusion, the diffusion of the flow of Bina, culminates in the heart. What does that mean? Thus it is written in Tikkunim in the Zohar that Bina is the heart, and by means of it, the heart understands. So what does it mean the heart understands? It is the idea that when you have something that you process something, that when can you truly see that you truly process, then it is when it is affecting the emotions in the heart. Once it's affected emotions in the heart, that is where it ends. And from there, you're able to go to the next step, which is the speech, the breath that comes out and which creates the words, the letters of speech, which represents the actual animation of this world. And from there issues the breath, the original manifestation of the body of the letters of speech, which become revealed from the concealment of the yud through the 5 organs of speech. And the same idea of the letter Hey that we said before, that the breadth and the length represents the processing of the idea, here too the shape of the Hey also represents the breadth and the length of the processing of Hashem's reigning through Malchus, through speech. Because speech does rule, that's how you rule through speech. When the king says something, the stock market is affected, everything else is affected by speech. And the shape of the letter Hey, which is in its written form, also has dimensions of length and width. This indicates the extension of God's blessed sovereignty, the sovereignty of all worlds, which extends upwards and downwards and in the 4 directions. And all these directions extending and issuing from the letters of the Word of God. As it is written in Ecclesiastes, that the king's utterances reigns, as explained elsewhere. Just as a king of flesh and blood rules through his faculty of speech by issuing commands, so too the supernal speech extends God's reign in all the dimensions of the created universe. And here now the Alter Rebbe just ends with a note saying that we are using here human terms to describe godliness. Obviously, God is not described in any of these shapes and forms of a yud and a hey and so on in speech. But obviously, what it means, Alter Rebbe says that this was explained elsewhere in the second part of Tanya. But the point being here is that we're using those things. Hashem created us in His image, but when He created us in His image, means that by seeing us and seeing our conditions, it gives us an idea. Just like you read the language, you read the musical notes, for example, the language of music. You're looking at the notes, and you see something else. You hear in your mind, you have a different tune ringing, but obviously the notes doesn't have anything intrinsically connecting with that note. So we are using these terms, the human terms, to understand godly concept, but it doesn't mean that we are humanizing God, God forbid. That's what Alter Rebbe says here. As for understanding somewhat the concept and nature of letters of speech in relation to divinity, inasmuch as God has no form of body nor of soul, heaven forbid, says the Alter Rebbe, כבר נסבר בדרך ארוכה וקצרה בליקוטי המורים, חלק בייס, פרוקים י"א וי"ב זין שום. This has already been explained comprehensively, yet concisely, in Likutei Amorim, the Tanya, part 2, chapter 11 and 12, see there. So this is the end of today's shir, and Mirz Hashem, we'll see you tomorrow. Bezrat Hashem, have a wonderful day.